I'll tell you. We're going to talk about nest building. They build their nest where they can see all around them so that they can see to protect themselves. So it's like in the top of a dead tree that's got big branches like that. Yesterday you saw one that I had photographed in Sweetwater where it was up on a big dead branch. Or on a cliff, like this little guy over here, where there's a little bit of an overhang so they've got a little protection and the wind won't blow their nest off like the wind we had last night. Woo! So the dad does the major part of the construction, and they have seen father eagles crashing into a limb 6 inches across to break it off with his chest because he has a particular branch he wants for the construction he's doing, and he'll carry it and he'll put it down and adjust it until it's exactly right because he wants his nest sturdy. Then mama does the interior design. And so she does like soft grasses and fur and, fine, pine needles or whatever that are going to be a nice soft bed for the eggs to lay in. So these birds in California that I was trying to show. So this, Jackie, her name is Jackie. See, now I don't have to wake you up at 2. All right. So Jackie is there. She's a bald eagle, so she has a white head, and you can see the beautiful nest that her husband has built, and you can't see the lining, but she's got some little bit of grass showing right in the front there. And she's working really, really hard to lay an egg in her nice nest. When in this place in California, the weather is worse than Colorado in the summer, where we bake and freeze and bake and freeze. They say if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute. That is Jackie sitting on her eggs. Whoa. If she gets up to fly, to go eat something, what will happen? What do you think?
They will die.
They will, because the snow that's blocked here is going to fall on her eggs and they'll be cold. She sat for 22 hours. 22 hours. So, normally, when a mama is sitting on the eggs, Papa is flying, hunting, and he will bring her food and feed her. Okay, he's watching for protection, and he's hunting and feeding her. And then, you know what happens? The king of the air, the most powerful bird in the sky, says, move over, honey. I'm going to sit on the eggs for a while. Why don't you take a break? And he sits on the eggs and looks like a doofus. And he doesn't care. He's like, these are my eggs. And I'm proud of him, and he sits on his eggs. It's not, this is woman's work. It's like, we're doing this. And she hunts, and she feeds him. They work together, doing everything that needs to be done to take care of those eggs. But in this situation, you see how clouded it is? Behind them is a big lake full of fish. Visibility is 0. The wind is blowing so hard he can hardly fly. And he hunted and hunted and hunted and hunted and couldn't bring back any food for her. She sat for 22 hours, and he was nearby, but he would have fed her. He tried everything he could to feed her. Anyway, it finally cleared off, and he did finally get some food for her. But in the next slide, you can see, of course you can, a few hours later, she's still alive because I'm watching it. Is she breathing? Is she okay? Finally, she moved her head a little bit. Just like you. All of you. You do whatever it takes, no matter what. Giving up your fun, your comfort, your ability to relax for your children. Like Jackie and Shadow. Just, I'm going to sit here 22 hours because if I move, my egg will die. It's exactly the same as you are. And you wrote goals. When we started, you wrote what you wanted, changes in your family. My goal for this week is for your little eaglets to look at you and see who I see. Power beyond any other parent has. The power to love a child that's pretty unlovable a lot of times. The ability to keep going when it's unendurable, intolerable, and you keep going. You haven't quit. You haven't given up. You might have thought, probably a good idea a few times, but you didn't. You keep looking for answers and looking for answers, and you try this and it doesn't work, and you try that and it doesn't work, and you keep looking for answers. I want them to look at you and see what I see, because they are so blessed to have you, and how huge your heart is, and how strong your desire is to help your children. Just, they're blind. They're down here pecking in the dirt, doing their turkey behavior, and you're a pain in the neck, and you're in the way, and I want, and give me, and they don't see like, wow, God loved me so much, he gave me you for a dad, gave me you for a mom. Wow, he must love me so much. Wow, what can I do for you, Dad? What can I do for you, Mom? Okay, right now it's like, what can you do for me? I'll have it now, and I'll have it my way. Okay, and that's part of their sickness, and we don't want to let them have what they want because it fuels their pathology. So we're working on yes to what they need. What do they need? What does a child need? Yeah, food, water, a blanket, a coat. Yes? Love. Well, yeah, you don't even have to ask for that. It's poured right out by the gallon, by the ton. Yes. They need to use a bathroom. They need to ask for that. Okay. That's pretty much it. Maybe a Band-Aid. Yeah?
They need shoes and clothes.
That's right. But you don't usually have to ask for that. Usually your parents notice that your feet grew. Yes. All right. So, yeah. Any of those they ask for, we're going to say what?
Yes.
Absolutely. Everybody together, moms and dads?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Anything they ask for besides that? The answer is
No.
right. So yesterday we had a few parents that were saying yes to the wants, and the child was controlling. Okay? They're going to stay sick. I want you picking the path for your family and leading. Come with me. Come with me. Come with me. If the child's leading, I want to play this game. Can we go do that activity? Can I play this piece with this game? Can I have this time with you over here? Can I? They're leading us. They don't know the path. They're blind. Think about it. If we were going on a safari, okay, I'm a photographer, so I would want to shoot those animals with my camera. You might want to shoot them with something else, okay? Whatever you want to shoot them with is up to you. So we save up, okay? We save up because I'd have to save up, okay? And then we get our plane ticket. We're going to the darkest jungles of Africa to see the coolest animals on the planet, okay? Maybe the Galapagos Islands would be good too. But anyway, we're going to Africa. So we get our money's all saved up, and we get our vests with all the pockets, and we get the mosquito net and the pith helmet and, the tents and the stuff. We get our equipment. Okay, we're doing this. It's a safari. And we hire a guide that we've heard good things about, So then we get on the plane, and we all fly to the darkest jungles of Africa for this adventure of a lifetime. And we get there, and the guide greets us, and they always have a Jeep on the TV. Okay, so he's got a big Jeep, and we load up all the stuff, and we drive to the jungle, and we unload our tents and all our equipment, our cameras or, rifles or whatever stuff. Okay, we get up, and we're all like, yes, we're going to do this. So in the morning, we get up, and we're like ready to roll. Here we are. We've been saving. We're ready to go. And we get to the edge of the jungle, and he's got a big machete, and he gets ready to whack the jungle, and he turns and he looks at us. He says, which way do you want to go? How would you feel? What do you think?
Not safe.
Right, not safe. Like, I thought you knew. Yeah, I thought you knew where we were going. I don't know where the quicksand is, or the giant poisonous snakes, or, the ones we want to look. I thought you knew what we were doing and where we were going. Why are you asking me? I am clueless. Okay? So then he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll pick a path. Do you want to follow him? Because I want somebody who knows where they're going and has been there and checked it out. You guys with me on that? Mm-hmm. Okay. When we allow a child to lead us, that's how they feel. It's like, I've never lived before. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing, and I got to lead you too? And in the United States, we have this stupid parenting thing where we let the children pick. What would you like to eat? And they're like, how are we going to do this? It's like if I invited you over to dinner, okay, you're going to come to my house and eat with Jerry Thomas and I, and you arrive and I say, oh, welcome, welcome. What would you like to eat? Okay? Wouldn't you be like, I don't know what you have in your fridge. I don't know what your budget is. I'd like lobster. I mean, I don't know what you know how to cook. It would be like, I can't make that choice. I don't know. So, what would you like to eat? They want ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if they're smart. And if we say, what would you like to eat? They can choose. Sky's the limit. We just said that. Then they say, I want ice cream. Like, you can't have ice cream for breakfast. You just let me choose, and then we got a big battle. They don't know anything about nutrition. They don't know how much calcium their body needs so they can sleep and grow. They don't know the minerals their body needs so they can be stable, or the vitamins that help their brain to work. They have no clue. They have never studied it. As parents, we have to know how much calcium does this child need at the size and the age they're at. And where's the calcium? Are they getting enough milk? Are they getting enough cheese? Are they eating enough salmon? Whatever we've got that's got high amounts of, we know. So we say, here's breakfast, sit down. Okay, there's no choice in the food. There's no choice in the activities. What game would you like to play means you tell me what game I am playing with you. They're choosing what we're doing. Where would you like to go? Now you tell me where to drive you. Okay, if it's their playtime and they have a bucket of Legos, they're usually here, they can build something with the Legos. They can choose what they're building with the Legos, what they're doing, okay, with the materials you gave them. But they don't get to choose that anything that impacts parents, come with me. You've made up your mind which activities you're doing for the afternoon, you come with me. Anytime we give them the freedom to lead us or anyone else in the family, they get sicker. And they're already sick enough. I don't recommend it, okay? So I really want you guys to step up in leadership, really strong leadership, because you've walked the path. You know what's right, what's wrong, which way is the best to go. Okay, my children need more activity right now, so we're going to do a really moving activity. My children are tired, so we're going to sit and rest, and we're going to do this activity. You know what they need. They don't. They're sick children. Okay, so really work on that strong leadership. Okay, you are the guide to the jungle. And we're not letting them have any choices. Yes?
Now, is it okay to give them, like, you choose 2 options? Like, is that wrong?
If they have a blue bandana,
Well,
they would be strong enough. None of these children are ready for any
like,
choices.
Even if I would choose, 2 options?
Right. They're not ready for even 2 options. When they get healthier, then, and we'll talk about how do we know when they're ready to have choices, then yes, they need to learn how to make choices in the world, and they make the bad choice and they learn from the consequence, okay? But right now, they're way too sick to do any of that. They're in the deep end of the pool going down. We can't have them trying to think which is the best choice or which would be best for me, because they're overloaded. They're overwhelmed by the trauma they're struggling with. So we're just going to follow me. I got this. Follow me. And the feeling of safety is number 1 ingredient for the brain to begin to heal. Number 1. All of the brain researchers, they say we've got this therapy, we've got this vitamin, we've got this, all of those help the brain to heal, and none of them work at all if the child doesn't feel safe. So feeling safe means we've got a leader that we can follow, so we can just, and as a child, it's a lot of work being boss of the house. I mean, whoa, you guys know it's exhausting. When the child takes over the family, they don't get to be a child. They have to be like, okay, I want to do this, I want you to do that, I want, over here. It's come with me. And the tool I'm going to share with you, usually I don't have parents start using tools till tomorrow. Okay, usually it's just flight check, but we got a few of them here that have loose jaws. There's that locked jaw condition where your jaw is locked. They have the opposite. And it goes, blah, 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 until you're like, oh. Okay, so this is a mouth check. Children, you guys, some of you have practiced. Yeah, you definitely have practiced it. Okay, everybody do a mouth check? Yeah, you don't cover your nose. Do it right. Yeah, you need to have your nose up. Perfect. Okay, put it down. So, when their mouth gets really weak and the jaw is flapping and noise is pouring out and they're not sharing thoughts or feelings, they're just mouth check. Helps them support that jaw, hold it up there. And it's just a few seconds. Okay, and we say, good job getting strong. There you go. You know, maybe 10, 15 seconds. All right, take your hand down. See if you're strong enough to do it without your hand up. There you go. There you go. Okay, so we're going to encourage. I had a dad I shared that with, one of the most amazing dads I ever worked with, Lonnie Cliffner from Washington State. And they brought in a little guy that could out-talk this whole group glued together. I mean, his mouth was, and he was real bright. But it was, So mom and dad came into camp, looked a lot like you guys did the first day like this. You know, and the two older teenage healthy blue bandana children were like, they all had big black rings of stress around, you know. And the little guy like, all over the place. And so they did all the stuff at camp. I mean, they were flight checking first thing. They had jewels hanging off of them from flight check, flight check, flight check, flight check. Mom and dad were just eagle-eyed, watching every move, because they were like, we can't live like this. We got to have changes, so we're going to catch every single thing this child does. And man, they did. So I was at their house about 6 months after that, and I stopped in, and I'm standing in the kitchen talking to Lonnie, and he is wise and full of wisdom. So I wanted to hear what he had to say, because I love listening to this man. But I was so distracted because I'm standing in the kitchen. Lonnie's over here. The little guy is standing next to the cabinet over here. Perfectly still, calm, happy, and quiet. And I just wanted to go, wow. And just watch him. It was just beautiful. There was peacefulness instead of the agitation and the that goes on in him. He was peaceful. It was so beautiful. But I'm trying to listen to Lonnie. So I see him out of the corner of my eye, and Lonnie's talking. And then the little guy goes, like that. And I'm like, Lonnie hadn't moved. He's just talking to me. I said, Lonnie, what just happened? He said, well, you taught us about the mouth check. And I heard myself saying, mouth check, mouth check, mouth check, mouth check, mouth check, mouth check. And I thought, I don't want my son to hear my voice like that. I don't want him to hear his father's voice coming across like that. And I thought, I've sounded like that a few times or more. Yeah. And he said, so what I decided to do, Miss Nancy, was fill my pockets in the morning with imaginary mouth checks. So they were full, because he needed a lot in the beginning. Okay, and the little guy's still standing over there just beaming. And he said, so I would fill my pockets with imaginary mouth checks. And then what I would do is when he would talk, I would get one of those out, and I'd toss it like a Frisbee. And he would catch it and put it up. And let me tell you what, Miss Nancy, he got so good at it. I just start to move my hand toward my pocket, and he can catch it before I even throw it. And he has gotten so strong and so quiet. My son is amazing. He is topping his class now, where before he was just in trouble all the time. So I gave him a tool, and some parents take the tool and take it down, down, down. Mouth check! Okay, which is a little hard to have a relationship with a person like that. But, you know, when you're on your 50,000th mouth check for the day, you can feel like that. And instead of that, he took it up in building the relationship and helping him and his son to be closer and helping his son to build better skills. So all of the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you this week, they work, okay? Each tool is not for every child, because every child's unique. You are the experts on your children. You know your child better than the most brilliant psychiatrist in this country that gets $800 an hour. You know your child, okay? So I'm going to give you tools and tools and tools till your toolbox is like that. You pick which tools are going to work for your child, okay? So if your child needs a mouth check, go for it, okay? So there you have it. You have 2 tools now. Flight check, mouth check, okay? All right, we don't want you to be like poor Jackie here. She's having a hard time. So I'm going to change that picture because it makes everything that I studied about eagles I kept seeing. It's just like my parents I work with. It's just like my parents. You guys are just amazing, amazing. So then mama will lay eggs. They usually, sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 eggs. Usually only 2 babies will hatch, sometimes only 1. So tomorrow we're going to talk about those eggs hatching, and I will bring some of the birds out that I hatched last week. And not eagles. I don't have eagles here. All right? But we'll do that. Attachment is the root of most mental illness. And that is not a quote from Nancy Thomas. That is a quote from Dr. Bruce Perry, one of the very, very top researchers on trauma. Attachment is at the root of most mental illness. We're talking autism, ODD, OCD, PTSD, all of that. Because we have a different resiliency when we have attachment, okay? So, when we have like a crack in the wall up on the edge of the window, what do? We, sand it off, plaster it, patch it, paint over it, okay? Then if we get a leak in the thing here, we sand it off, patch it, plaster it, put a new shingle on, except it's a metal roof, so I don't know. Fix the bolt that's leaking. Okay, then we get a crack over here. We're gonna sand it and patch it and plaster it. But, oh man, that one cracked over here. We got to do. Oh, we got. Oh no, another. Oh no, we got. What's the problem? The foundation. Exactly. So I'm here. That's the problem. The attachment is the foundation. And we got the lying, the stealing, the jabbering, the spitting, the whatever behaviors. And we're focusing there, which, we got to keep the roof on. But this is the problem. That's the attachment. That's the trust that they have in you. And the more you lead and they follow, the more they find out that you do know the path. They think you don't know how to have fun with them. You don't know how to give them the right food. You don't know. So they got to tell you because you're too stupid. Well, no, they're wrong. You're amazing. And honesty and integrity and hard work and, all the things that we want to teach them. So when they are following you, they start going, wow, you know stuff. Wow. When I follow you, I feel safe. And I can just, Mom and Dad have the ball. I don't have to make all the decisions. And that healing will start. Okay? So that feeling of safety is essential. I've been having you watch your children because, we've been doing that for years. I keep mine within 6 feet so I can see every single thing that they do. I have extremely violent children that have done homicide, and they're right here because I need to know what they're moving. If they're chewing with their mouth, anything, I correct, because they feel safe when they know I'm watching them. And I've done that years and years and years. I was a guest speaker at a high school near here, and I said to the children, okay, what is it that babies need? We were doing that first year cycle, what is it that babies need? And they said, oh, they need food, they need a blanket, need a diaper change. This one young boy, high school boy, stood up and he said, babies need attention. And it was like, that cartoon where the light bulb goes off over your head? That was how it was for me. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So they didn't get the attention they needed when they were really little. They weren't safe. Nobody watched. Are you hungry? Are you going to fall? Are your diaper? Nobody's watching. Okay? And some of them have it because before they were born, they couldn't trust. Okay? But many of ours are after. So they need attention. How do our children get attention? They do it wrong. Because we spot what they're doing wrong. They're driving us crazy with it. And if we ignore the bad behavior, like some of the parenting experts say, if you ignore the little stuff, just let it go. They say, choose your battles. Okay, well, great. What does that mean? Choose your battles. Okay, well, I used to choose my battles. If it bothered me, then they needed to stop it because I would be angry and I wouldn't be a good parent. So whatever they did that bugged me, then I would work on stopping that behavior. Well, after years of them doing the same things over and over, different children came in, they all had the same stuff. I was like, seen that, done that. I can deal with this. You know, the screaming fits, the names calling, whatever, punching, hitting. I'm like, okay, we can deal with this. I can fit. So I'm like, okay, that criteria doesn't work because I'm not going to correct them on anything because nothing bothers me. So I'm like, okay, I need a different criteria. So what I decided for me works is if the child did that behavior when they were an adult and they were in a job, would they get a raise and a promotion or fired? Yeah. So then that behavior's absolutely got to change or they're going to fail in life. If they did that behavior on a date when they're old enough to do that, you know, when they're 40, and we start letting them date. If they did that on a date, would they get another date with the person, or would the person say, I'm not going out with you again? You know, like whining, for instance. I can tolerate a lot of whining. I don't care much for it. But can you see him in an office? Please, 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 boss. Please, I'll be good. Can I have that project? Please, boss, let me have that project. I do a really good job. Please, please. You think the boss is going to be impressed? I don't think so. I don't think so. So whining's got to go. It's not acceptable behavior. All right, can you see him on a date? Please, please go out with me tomorrow night. I'll be more fun. Please, I will. I'll really be more fun. It'll be good. Are we going to correct the behavior or reinforce it by saying, oh, okay, you can have what you want? Because as parents, we love our children, and we think loving them means letting them do whatever they want. That isn't loving these children. And some parents try to make their children happy. I've heard of this. All right, tell the truth. How many of you have tried to make your child happy? You bought the right clothes, you gave them the right food, you took them places, you bought the game, the right Christmas gift. Right. How many of you have a red bandana that is a happy child? Right. No, you are not a happy child. Right. It does not work. Why? It's backwards. A child's job, let me ask him here. We have some very, very bright children here. Here we have Christian. All right, Christian, what is your job as a child? That's a tough question.
Listen to our parents.
Listen to your parents. Right. That's part of your job. You're right. But the overall job, that's part of it. Okay, think about it. Yes.
Is to trust.
To trust. Well, that's part of the job too. Yeah. You're getting close. Anybody think of it, what your job is? Okay, keep thinking about it. Parents, how many of you have a job that you don't know what it is? Could you succeed if you don't know what your job is? Anyone? I can't. If I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I can't do a really great job at it. These children don't know what their job is. You want to know? I'll tell you. There's one that wants to know. Come here, I'll whisper to you. Nobody else wants to know. Okay. Your job is to make your mom happy with you. All right. So one child who wanted to know what their job is. Now, he has the potential to become an A-plus son because he knows what his job is. The rest of them aren't quite ready for that. But when they're ready, they will come and ask me sometime in the next week or two. Or they can call me next year or when they're 25. Okay, because they'll fail until they know their job. So, but a lot of them are confused because they think it's our job to make them happy. So when they're not happy, we're getting an F- in our parenting job because they're not happy, so it's our fault. And they grow up as adults and they complain, hey, I couldn't pay my bills. You are a bad father. You are a bad mother because I can't pay my bills. Because they think we're supposed to make them happy. It is not our job. If you think it's your job, you know, when they come to camp, I don't care if they hate my guts. I care if they heal. I care if they learn what they need to learn to be successful in life. I care if they have healthy food to fuel their body. Okay? So my job is to give them the tools they need so they can get what they want when they're an adult. I'm not giving them what they want. I am giving them what they need. Whether they like it or they don't, it does not matter to me. Okay? And what happens in the beginning, all the new children that come in hate me. So that was 4 tangents that I did, a detour. When you get old, I thought I had Alzheimer's, so I went in and had a brain scan. He said, no, your brain's full. So it's so packed, the information can't come out and you can't take any more in. I said, that's a really nice way to say it. Thank you for that. I'll hold on to that because I feel like, Anyway, okay. We've been having you watch your child doing every single thing wrong so they feel safe. If they're sitting with one elbow on the table and you don't say something about it because you're ignoring, because you want them happy and you don't want to upset them, they will give you 2 elbows. Hello? Can you see me? Because that attention means I'm safe. You can see if somebody's going to take my food, or somebody's going to hurt me, or somebody's going to do a terrible thing, or somebody's going to steal me from you. So they're like elbow, elbow, mouth open. Please, please see me. Please see me. I have to feel safe. So parents, please see them. Call the flight checks. This is our last full day of flight checks for most of you, because a lot of you are going to have 5 jewels for each red bandana. Okay, and then you're going to move forward tomorrow. You graduate from the beginning program up. All right, so, except some of them are in there so long you don't get much shot at it. But you know why? You know what's wrong with your son? I'll tell you exactly. I don't know what his diagnosis is, but I'll tell you what it is. That child's IQ is off the charts. He's up 150 or more, and his brain goes so fast, he doesn't have control of it yet. So he's got to learn how to reel it in, focus, solve the problem, because he's over here learning, you know. And I'm sorry, your son's so smart. But you know what? God gave him that for a reason. He just doesn't have control. It's running wild in there. Okay, so we got to put some brakes on that for him, or help him get some brakes. So, watching every single thing that they do wrong, I want you 5,000. Those of you who didn't get 20 flight checks yesterday, then do 40 today to make up for it. We can do this. All right, now that your eagle eyes are fine-tuning, catching all the stuff, we're going to take it up a notch and make it harder. Every day we make it a little harder, so don't get behind. So today, I want you to have one eye looking at every single thing they do wrong. The other eye is looking at every single thing they do right. You can do it. You can do it. All right, so when they're doing things right, then they get a feather, okay? Now, we have 2 kinds of feathers, I'm going to tell you. We got little tiny feathers. The little feathers, there's all kind of different ones because you can make it all fancy. Little feathers represent wing feathers, and those are for them doing smaller things right. Like you're going through a door and they step ahead and open the door for you, okay? Thoughtful. That's eagle behavior, okay? When a child sees something or there's a piece of trash that's not even their trash, but they pick it up because they care about the earth, okay? You're like, oh, eagle behavior. Okay, so the little feathers are for little things. Maybe they haven't been saying yes, Mom, every single time. And they finally make one whole day of yes, Moms. We have a couple of them that still can't say thank you when they get their plate of food, because we don't give it to them at the flight check table until they say thank you. We offer it to them and they're looking at, and we just keep it over here, let them have a minute to think, try it again, try it again, try it again. This morning we had 4 times before we got a thank you. Like, they don't say thank you. They obviously didn't want it, okay? But anyway, so eagle feathers. When your child earns a feather, you say, you know what? I just saw eagle behavior. I really like that eagle behavior. I got an eagle feather for you. So then you're going to slide it on this little cord. It's got a little loop there. Parents are going to do this part, not the child. All right, so when you put it on, then tie a knot where you want it to be, but leave room for the next ones. Okay, so whatever design, moms, dads, you just tie a knot. So for here at camp, I know, some of you don't do jewelry. We're not really doing this as jewelry, it's awards. When they get home, they can hang it on a lamp, you can hang it up on the wall or whatever for them to remember that they did it right and you saw them doing it right. They can do it right. So this is just an award badge kind of a thing. Okay. Yeah, being respectful, being responsible, those kinds of things that are small to us, but effort. The child's trying to do it right. So we want to do. Tail feathers are bigger. And there's a whole bunch of big feathers, all kind of different big feathers that are tail feathers. They need 20 wing feathers, 5 tail feathers. These are a big deal. These are much harder to earn. So maybe you have a child that you've been fighting for 3 years trying to get them to brush their teeth. And they just get up in the morning and they brush their teeth A+, because they're working on being an eagle. That would be like, the fight's over, we got it. Okay, or whatever they've been struggling with for a long time, they just decide to move forward and get over it. Big things like that, okay? If you feel like going, whoa, that's eagle tail feathers. All right, only 5 of those for each child. And the biggest thing is secrets, okay? There are a number of children in here that have secrets. I looked at the artwork that they did, and there's some secrets where they've done some things that they need to tell on themselves about for them to move forward, because what they've done is hurting their heart. All right, so there's 5 areas that children carry secrets in. Lies they've told that they have not told the truth about. Things they've stolen that they haven't admitted it was them. Things they've broken that they need to tell they broke. People or animals that they have hurt that you don't know that they did. And sex things that have happened. Okay, so there's 5 areas. Lies, stealing, breaking, people or babies or animals, or sex things that have happened. Okay? And are they afraid to tell you? Absolutely. What are they afraid is going to happen? You're going to be angry or reject. Absolutely. Yes. Oh, there is a hummingbird in the shadow. You see him up here? Oh, how cool is that? Thank you. He's having his breakfast. Oh, eagle eyes right there. Wonder where he got that. Passed on from his eagle-eyed mama. All right. So when they have a secret churned up in their heart that's been festering and keeping them from moving forward, because it is a complete roadblock. When they've done any of those 5 things and it's chewing at them, it's like poison in their heart, literally like poison, festering like an abscess. And until they spit it out, they cannot heal. They can't. You can be A+ on your flight checks, catching every single thing, doing the best attachment therapist in the universe, and your child won't heal because the secrets keep them back. It destroys them. We had one camp where they had a climbing wall, you know, where the children are like, and we're all, come on, you can do it, you can do it. And all the children made it to the top and rang the bell and came down, yay, except this one little boy. And he would climb halfway up and we would, come on, you can do it, you can do it. And he'd, I gotta do it. And he'd slide down. He had the rope on, you know. And he'd go, come on, you can do it. He'd go back up. Like 10 times he tried and tried and tried and failed. And you know what? His brother had the courage to tell his secrets. He came in and told his secrets, what he had done to his brother. And then we brought the brother and said, you know what? He already told, so you can spit it out now because we already know and we're okay with it. So he spit it out. Next morning before breakfast, he said, I know I'm supposed to be told no when I want something, but this one is a need. May I please do the climbing wall? I need to know I can do it. We're all like, yeah. For him, it was a need right then. All right? He went out there, ding, because he wasn't blocked by the poison in him that was making him so weak that he was in trouble all the time because he was working on keeping that secret in so he couldn't do things right. So, parents, are you going to be proud of your child or mad at them when they come and tell you a secret? Yeah. You're going to whack them or hug them? Absolutely. When a child pulls the courage together to come to you and say, Mom, Dad, can I talk to you? You're going to take them where nobody else is going to hear their private business. And you know what? A secret is powerful when it's not told. When they tell you, all the power's out of it. It can't hurt them anymore. It's not a secret anymore when you know. Not. And parents, are you going to go home and tell everybody in the church and in your neighborhood and the grandmas, you're going to call them all and tell them your child's secret? No, you're going to honor that trust. Okay? How many of you parents have done a dumb thing? Okay? Do you appreciate it when your spouse goes to work or to the neighbors and shares it with them? The dumb thing you did? The big mistake you made? No, when we love each other, we don't tell others. They get the courage and the determination to heal and they come to you and say, you know what? Can I please talk to you? And you go and they tell you some terrible, awful, horrible thing that they did. And you hug them and like, wow. Is there a punishment? There's no flight check. There's no punishment. Whatever they did, I don't care how horrendous it is. Whatever they did, they have the courage to come and tell you. It means they don't want to ever do it again. They know it was wrong. They don't need a lecture on what's right and what's wrong. They know, okay? No lectures, no, you just hug them. So glad you cleaned that one out because your child can now move forward. Giant step. They already just took a giant step. So when we have children that start cleaning their secrets out, some of them need a little bit more time than the time that we have at camp. Well, camp is what, 6 months long? They can't go home till they know how to love you, right? So some of them might have like a gray beard by the time they go. Some of them are learning quickly, but I don't know. Anyway, some of them don't have all their eagle feathers before camp's over. That's fine. And it actually is good to have that continuity after camp. So we don't want to compete for who can get it the first, who can get it done. Our children got them before your children. No, it's each child when they're ready. And if we give them a feather that they didn't earn and they know they really didn't do much, then it doesn't mean anything on the rest of them. Okay, I want them to know, man, I got that feather. Okay, I worked, I earned it, I deserve it. So we want to be really honest with those feathers. And anytime we use praise, it has to be honest. Or they'll listen to anything else we say. They can't trust us on anything else. Okay, so it's not a race. It's a learning opportunity. 20 wing feathers, 5 tail feathers equals 1 Eagle Award. All right, so I'm going to share with you information from Dr. Bruce Perry. And he says it's not the finger that pulls the trigger, it's the brain, which means all behavior comes from here. So we end up, locking this up or blocking that and whatever, and we need to. But this is where we need to stay focused for that to change. Experience changes the brain. I always wish we would have had enough money to do brain scans on all the children right before we started camp, and then another brain scan right at the end of camp, because I know without a shadow of a doubt big changes have happened in that. So, experience changes the brain. Their brains are different. Every second of every minute of every hour that we interact with a child using the right tools, we're healing their brain. We're helping them to move forward. What they're doing in the flight check room is a brain shifting action. And then we ask for logic to see if the brain has shifted to right here. We want to activate that where schoolwork is done, where logic and reasoning, okay? And then we ask them to come up with an act of kindness to make up for what they've done, to make amends, because they dig a hole in the relationship, they need to fill it up. Okay, it's not a punishment, you owe time, okay, but they need to fill it up. And again, thinking of an act of kindness is a whole different part of the brain, and most of your children, that's where they get the most stuck. They can't think of one nice thing to do for you, because they haven't spent any time doing it their whole life. That part of their brain is a dark hole. And they look for a solution in there and they're like, they're getting better at it, but some of them are coming up with the exact same thing every single time, okay? And if they've had the exact same thing every single time, then you can say, you know what? I want you to come up with something else. Because most of the children have plan A and plan B before we bring them back to you. Because maybe one of your other children's already doing that, and so they have a plan A and a plan B, okay? And then Dr. Perry also says relationships are the agent of change, and we want change, okay? And the most powerful therapy is human love. So we're looking at our turning point eagle. We're ready for that turning point, Lord, okay? So guiding us to get there is correcting every single thing, every toe over the line into the pool that's going to take them into the deep end, and acknowledging everything they're doing right, okay? So eagle eyes, one on each, one what needs corrected, one what needs encouraged, and we're going to move forward with that. So Dr. Daniel Amen says when your brain works right, so can you. When your brain doesn't work right, neither can you. This is a normal, healthy brain of a child. The red part is the most juice going through the brain, the most electrical current. The yellow part is the next layer down. The green part is the third layer down, and then there's a real thin, is that showing up there? Yeah. Okay, there's a real thin little purple line around the edge That's the least amount of electrical energy. So parents, where do you see the most juice going through this brain? Yeah, right up here, okay? That is where we want it, okay? They're thinking. That's the logic. So the brain shifter is designed to bring them up into that, make it work, okay? Get it going. This is a trauma-affected child's brain. Where do we see the most activity in this brain? In the back, yeah. So when I was a child, when I was naughty, I was good at it. When I was naughty, my mother would do the mom look. The one eyebrow up, did your moms do that, give you the look? So I thought, okay, when I grow up and I have children, I'm going to give them the look, and they'll know to stop the behavior. So I got these children, I gave them the look, they did it more. I'm like, what's up with that? What's up with that? I didn't understand it until I saw this brain. And then it made sense. That back part of the brain has been used so much. It's worked out till it's big and powerful and buff. It is the first responder for our children. They automatically go to fight, flight, freeze. They automatically go to argue, to defiance, before they even think. That's the part of their brain that's lit up. That's where they're going to respond from. So it becomes their comfort zone. Okay? Like this morning, you all came in and sat in the same chair, except I made you sit in another chair. Okay, but it's like your comfort zone. When we go on our break in a few minutes, if you go to get a drink of water and stretch and you come back and somebody's in your chair, you'll be like, excuse me, this is my chair? Mm-hmm. You know, at church, I don't know if you guys, we kind of have our pew. And new people come in and sit in our pew. And we look like we're fine with that. And we'll sit somewhere else. But we're not. It's our comfort zone, okay? So the child's comfort zone is back there. To get them to move back into it, they make us trigger it so they can stay there by changing us, okay? We want to be loving, playful, happy parents. I mean, I used to get up in the morning like, yes, and I come out and they go, what are you smiling about? I'm not anymore, okay? I let them control me. I had children because I want to fly kites and bake cookies and do cool stuff. And we're going to garden together and they'll love plants like I do. And we'll raise little birds and, whatever stuff. And then I got these guys. I'm like, okay, well, there's no cookie baking going on. And what in the world are we supposed to do with them? So their comfort zone. They would change me until one morning I got up and I looked in the mirror and I saw a drill sergeant snapping orders, yelling at the kids, get in here. I said, knock it, I'm tired of that. I said, that's how I was talking to my children all day long. I'm like, that's not who I am. I'm playful and I like to be silly and I like to make my children laugh and I love to cuddle them and, read stories and be close. And I'm a drill sergeant snapping orders and biting heads off. I'm like, what happened to you, Nancy Thomas? Who are you? And I realized the children had derailed me. And now, I don't want the children controlling me. I don't want them controlling my life. Man, I'm Irish and German. This ain't happening. So I was like, I need to retake the turf I lost. I need to bring the fun back in. I need to bring the laughter back in. I need to fill my home with joy. I have the heart of the home. My husband holds the head of the home. I hold the heart of the home. What's more important, your head or your heart? I don't know. We're both important, okay? So, I'm failing because the heart of our home was filled with anger and frustration and it wasn't fun. So I retook the turf. And anybody who wanted to have fun was around me. So we're going to look at what the different parts of the brain do and what we can do as parents to help heal that. Okay? So that our complex is the fight. It's where we get their defensive. I didn't do it. It's not my fault. Like this little guy over here as he was going out. He's like, I didn't do it. What did I do? That's that part of the brain is lit up. It's where the temper tantrums come from, the arguing, they're very negative, I can't, it's too hard, I don't know. Right, they're back here. We don't have to have a brain scan, we can see the words coming out of their mouth and the body language. We know where they are in their brain. Or they're, running away, hypervigilant, stress-filled, anxious, they freeze, shut down emotions, learning. This part of the brain cannot take in information when it's lit up. And that is when most parents give their finest lectures. And it's just like if you're driving down I-70, our speed limit's 70 miles an hour. You roll down your car window, you stick your head out, and you spit. What's going to happen?
Not going far.
When you give a lecture to a child in the back part of their brain, you just roll down your window at 7 miles, it's back in your face. It doesn't matter. You can have the best words of wisdom to help your child. They can't hear you. They can't hear you. You're wearing yourself out. You're working harder than they are. Okay, so when they're there, they're arguing, you're arguing with them. You're just, okay, so we don't go there. What we do to help build that part of the brain, what will make it bigger? How many of you want that part of the brain bigger in your child? You want them to be able to argue more and fight more?
Misunderstanding.
I didn't think so. Okay, got you mixed up because I talked about other stuff in between. All right, so our complex is activated by fear. Well, we aren't jumping out from behind furniture and scaring our children, you know. This is not what parents do. But what I see parents doing, I like to go to the family bonding centers in different communities. I used to travel a lot. And I'd go in the family bonding centers and just observe the parenting in there. I've noticed in a lot of communities, it's called Walmart. And ours is called Costco. So when I was a kid, parents would say, let's go to the park. Now parents go, let's go to Walmart. And anyway, so I watch parents in there, and they do all of those things over and over and over. They give the children their eyes. You know, like, I'm sick of you, you do it, you're driving me crazy, ooh, the eyes. And it's like daggers into the child, instilling fear in them. And what a lot of parents mean is, I'm serious. You need to change this behavior. So we try to say with our eyes, I'm serious here. This is really important. And the child sees, you're going to hurt me. Your eyes are saying you're going to hurt me. And we just lit up that back part of the brain. It's pumping iron. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we get more defensiveness, more temper tantrums, more arguing, more negative behavior, more running away. We don't want all that. So I don't use anger in parenting my children, which for an Irish German person is a challenge, okay? But the Lord gave me these children because I needed to build my patience. And the children were faithful in giving me opportunities to build my patience. A lot, and I appreciated that. So threats. If you do that one more time, I'm going to call flight check. You just built the back part of your child's brain where they're going to pump an iron for a while, building the defensiveness, the temper tantrums, and all of that yucky stuff that we don't want. We think we're giving them a warning, kind of a heads up. This is going to happen if you do that. Their brain sees all of it as a threat. So we do not tell them ahead of time what's going to happen, good or bad. We just do it. Okay, they do not learn from words. I'm sure you've tried. Did you explain to your children what's right, what's wrong, what they should do? Have you? A couple of times? Like a billion? Yeah, and you get worn out. You know, did you remind them? Okay, remember to say yes, Mom. Remember to choose. Yeah, is it working? No. I mean, if it worked, you wouldn't be here at camp. If the toolbox you were using at home was effective, you wouldn't be here. And for a child that's not trauma affected, yeah, your neighbors are probably doing those parenting techniques and they work. And then it makes us feel stupid. Like, well, they're doing it, it works. Their children are fine. Why doesn't it work for me? Wrong toolbox. Our children have special needs. They're different. Okay? So, no threats. You do it. Flight check. That's all. Okay? Intimidation. Hands on your hips. This will light up the back part of their brain. And this, when we do this body language, you guys have all met my corgi. Okay, she's ferocious. Okay, but when that fox comes by, the hackles on the back of her neck go up, so she looks huge in her mind. Okay, she looks like, look at how big I am, my hackles are up. Because I'm so big, don't take me on. Don't even. So they put their hackles, this is us putting our hackles up. You want to fight? Look how big I am. That's not the body language we want to use with a child. Okay, this is the body language, hands open, that we want to use with a child. We've got this. We're bigger than they are. We're smarter than they are. We have a whole life of experience. I want your feet still. So we have a whole life of experience to guide and lead them. We don't need to. Okay? It doesn't work. Criticism and negative input, they shape us. So that's all we're doing. Stop that. Don't do that. I told you don't get in here. I don't want you to do this anymore. Stop that. That's all we do all day long. They learn from being told what to do. Stop wiggling your feet. Is that what I said? What words did I use? What words did I use, Augustine?
Stop moving.
He's doing SSP?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, what I said is, I want your feet still. I want. And then I let him know what I wanted him to do, not what I didn't want him to do. Because a negative is gonna activate the back part of his brain. I'm more likely to get defiance. Okay? So, is he gonna be perfect because I worded it right? No. But it helps him to be able to comply. It helps all of our children if we word it what we want them to do. But it doesn't work for everything. You know, if they're spitting through a straw, you say, you don't give me the straw. If they're punching their brother, give me your brother. We'll have to get rid of him. Not gonna work. Okay, so sometimes we can have them do something the opposite of what they're doing, and, you know, it's taken care of. Like they're tipping the chair. Okay, stop tipping the chair. I said stop. I am sick of that. Stop tipping the chair. Okay, you've all tried it with whatever behaviors. How about give me the chair?
That's what I do. That's right.
Yeah, they're now standing. And mine stand until they can figure out a solution. Well, what am I gonna do? Let me know when you have an idea. I'll be happy to listen to it. And what do they have to do? May I please have a chair? Absolutely. They might be standing through a couple of meals at my house until they figure it out. It's okay. No rush. When their brain kicks in and they come up with a solution, I'm okay with that. I don't give them the solutions. I want their brain working. They're solving their problems. I don't tell them, you didn't say yes, Mom, so I have to call flight check now because I've told you 50 times you have to say yes, Mom. You need to be respectful of me because I deserve respect and it's important for you. There's 10 rules in the Bible. Number 5 right there, honor thy mother and father, and you didn't do it. And by the time you're done with that, they're like, we talked them into a coma. Literally. You have 3 seconds of language before their brain turns off. 3. When it's at full speed, a trauma-affected child can hear you for 3 seconds. How many words can you get out in 3 seconds? Short and sweet. If you're talking longer than that, you're off track. Okay, 3 seconds. I want you to sit here. I want you to sit here because you're gonna be off track. Alright, so all of that stuff is gonna build the wrong part of the brain. We're gonna use action, not words. Action, not anger. Okay? So we know what our goal is do it, don't say it. Alright. For our children to heal, they have to feel safe. They feel safe when we are the leaders. They are not in control of us. And there's something on the break that came up that was really, really important that I was gonna make sure I added. The 2 ladies were talking to me with you. There you are. What was it you reminded me of the break that was really important? I was gonna share. My brain is dead.
Lectures.
Lectures. Perfect. Okay. When the children come back after they have done a flight check, their brain's turned on. We bring them back to this is lit up. It's working. If you do this, you're shutting it off. And it's the opposite of what you want to do. So what you say is, good job telling the truth and a big hug. Touch helps them to stay in that part of the brain. The team is not hugging your children. We're giving them a high five. Okay, but they need a hug. But they need a hug from you. We don't want them to bond to us. Then at the end of camp, they're crying, I have to leave Nancy Thomas. All these kids they're more than happy to leave me. Good, phew, got rid of her. Okay, that's fine. I want them to bond to you, not to me. I don't want them grieving and feeling rejected at the end of camp because we're all gonna stay connected, okay? But they need to be connected where they belong with you. So, the team's not hugging them. We have you say, good job, tell the truth, and a big hug. Then they need to look in your eyes and offer, may I please, alright? Alright, so our children have to feel safe. Lectures do not help. When they come back from flight check, good job telling the truth, they know right from wrong. That's what they just did in the flight check room. They told what they had done that wasn't what they should have done. They know. They've already learned it from you. So they don't need a lecture, right? So limbic system is love department. It's where all of our emotions are, not just the love, but it's where kindness, caring, compassion, attachment comes from the limbic system. You know, if you get to watch these awesome parents here with the little guy, okay, sometimes they're doing this, okay, bouncing up and down with the baby, because it physically activates those cables in the brain, okay, that we talked about yesterday, how the cables come together, physically builds the brain when we bounce a baby. It's a normal filter. Our brain sorts up to, what do I need to do about that, or do I need to run, there's an emergency, I gotta get out of the building, okay? So that's how a neurotypical brain functions. Their brain, their first response is fight, or flight, or freeze, depending on which one's their favorite. Limbic system is activated by a feeling of safety, which we've covered and covered and covered because it's so important you are strong leaders. Loving leadership is totally the essential ingredient to start healing that foundation. If they are leading your family in any way, they're not gonna heal. You're wasting your time, your money, and you're just gonna have a life of misery, and so are they. They cannot be in control of you at any point, not even playing a game. Okay, every move they make is you guiding them until they get their feet underneath them, that foundation is healed. Okay, so feeling safe, acceptance, who they are is good enough. They can't be somebody else. My children were strong-willed, okay? It's how they lived through what they went through. It was a gift that God gave them. There are children who don't live through what they've been through. All right, so up and down movement. Let me see who we have. Oh, you know what? Your son is a superstar at this. Could I please borrow Davey? All right. Davey, I want you to come up here. Your mom says it's okay. All right. Davey, I would like you to do 5 A+ jumping jacks.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Awesome, rocked it out. He does a little warm up one. Okay, get a big hug from your mom. Did you see the up and down movement? Rocked it out. 5. We'll shift the brain from back here to up here so that he can think and function. All right? 5. They don't have to do 500, okay, just 5, and he's good at it. The little body has gusto in there going on, okay? So some of our activities, our brain shifting activities have the up and down movement, and some don't. It depends on what they need. And tomorrow, whatever, someday, we're gonna go over it and you'll do it and you'll get all the details of it because he had to do it exactly A+. And I was watching your arms. Okay, so activated his limbic system, it's looking good. Neocortex is that outer part that was really lit up in the healthy child's brain. It's where logic and reasoning, planning, speech, schoolwork, all that kind of good stuff. It's activated with joy and laughter. Well, we got that going on at camp. What was it you guys were laughing? Oh, well, we had the newspaper fashion show. That was some joy and laughter. You guys were so beautiful, big smiles on you watching your children, and the children had fun with that. Look at, there's a smile right there. So we got different stuff all week that we're gonna be doing. Awesome, Mom. So, joy and laughter. When we let them suck the joy and the laughter right out of our house because we're frustrated and angry all the time, we're not providing the healing environment that they need. But we also don't want to laugh at them. That's not going to heal their brain. Look at you, you're messing up. No, that's not it. Okay, and sarcasm does not work with these children. They do not understand it. It's just not helpful. All right, so when I start getting sarcastic, I know I need a break because it's not the right thing for me to do. Oxygen. How do we get oxygen in the brain? The fastest way to increase the oxygen in your body, besides a yawn is helpful, but even faster than that is big, deep belly laughs. There's Mozart's music. Mozart's music was all written for God. It was written for the church, and it's 60 beats to the minute. And Dr. Tomatis from France found that it increases activity in the neocortex, so we play it over there in the teepee, to help the children to calm and to help activate that outer cortex and to mask the screaming coming out of there so it's less stress for all of you. Temporal lobes, that's a circle area that we looked at that had big black holes in it in trauma affected child's brain. It's where we have our memory and our experience. So we learn from what we did. Okay, last time I did that, it didn't work out for me, so I'm not gonna do it again. Or last time, that was a lot of fun, let's do it again. So we learn from our experience and we hold those memories here. All right, so that part of the brain is highly affected with alcohol before we're born. So an alcoholic has memories there that they don't want to remember that are pain-filled and not fun. So they drink alcohol to numb that out so the memories aren't haunting them and hurting them so bad. However, before the baby's born, it impacts their temporal lobes by killing the cells in there. So we have like, our brain at one point is 2 cells, okay? And then they multiply and make 2 hemispheres of the brain. So alcohol targets and kills brain cells over and above killing skin cells or any of the other cells in our body. So the alcohol passes through into the womb and kills brain cells in the baby. So when we see that, it often hits the temporal lobes the worst. So they don't learn from their experience. You have to tell them over and over, and they struggle with it. You smell lunch. You smell that? That JP, he could sell aromatherapy with what he does. All right, when we see damage to the left side, and it can be from other things besides alcohol, it could be a car accident. Damage to the left side, we're going to see violence. We're going to see learning problems, temper, aggression, irritability, language, listening, and reading. There's our children. All right, when we see damage to the right side, we see mood stabilities. So they have mood swings. They have problems with social cues like reading facial expressions, rhythm, and music. So in the old days, and we still have some that are doing it wrong, we see violence and mood swings. What would they diagnose our children with? Bipolar disorder. And they would put them on bipolar medication that didn't work because it was the wrong diagnosis. It was alcohol damage. And bipolar medication doesn't work for alcohol damage, okay? And even today, we see the facial expressions and a number of things there, and they put the autistic label on there. And it's not, it's alcohol damage. So they have the wrong treatment, the wrong help, they don't get what they need. There are certainly children who have autism. I'm not saying your children are all misdiagnosed. I'm just saying many times they've missed that particular piece, and so we want to make sure we've got the right treatment for the child. All right, so the temporal lobes are highly affected by caffeine. What do we take in that has caffeine in it? Coffee, tea, soda. Yes, Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Red Bull. Yes, chocolate, absolutely. That's why we have it for the parents and not for the children. We do not give any chocolate to the children here. And even, my children would be out building a snowman, playing in the snow. They come in, a loving mom thing is to do what? Yeah, hot chocolate. They're cold. The child's cold. I want to warm them up. So I make them hot vanilla milk. Tastes like marshmallows. Okay, it's just got some stevia and some vanilla in there, and heat up the milk, and so I just adjusted it. But chocolate. Red Bull, they have it in the machines at the high school up here so the children can get whatever they want. It takes 5 Red Bulls to kill a teenager in one day, 24 hours. 5 Red Bulls will stop the heart. Why are they giving it to children? It's like unbelievable. I'll tell you why they're giving it to children. How many hours does a teenager need to sleep at night? Who can tell me that? How many? 11 if they're healing, absolutely. Okay, once they're 14 and a half and older, they need 11 hours of sleep a night to heal. If they're neurotypical, they need 9.5. When they're little to 14 and a half, they need 12 hours a night to heal, 10 if they're not healing. And that means whether they have a broken leg or a trauma-affected brain. the body needs 12 hours for a child. That's why lights out at 7. They get up at 7, we put them to bed at 7. Caffeine, nicotine, secondhand smoke impacts the blood supply to the brain. Caffeine and nicotine both can cut the blood supply to the brain by up to 25%. We're trying to increase the blood flow, increase electricity, get it working so they remember what they're supposed to do. We don't want to cut it by what we're feeding them or putting in their environment. Sleep deprivation impacts this part of the brain. They can't remember what they're supposed to do. So healthy sleep, the neurotransmitters. There's serotonin. That's our happy juice. We feel good when we got our serotonin. Okay, it's made out of tryptophan. That's the building blocks that make the serotonin. Tryptophan is very high in turkey. Body turns serotonin, it's the building material for melatonin. So it takes the extra serotonin and turns it into melatonin so we can sleep. And what kicks it into making it is the pineal gland, which is kind of behind our eyes, kind of in the roof of the mouth. I can't even point to it. But what makes the pineal gland make that so we can sleep is pitch darkness. When it's absolutely pitch dark, your brain takes the serotonin, makes it into melatonin so we can sleep. So, when a child does not trust you, they will tell you by saying, I'm afraid of the dark, I have to have the light on, which means I don't trust you to protect me. I need the light on so I can see incoming danger and deal with it myself. We would protect our child with our life, but they don't believe you, so they're gonna think they can protect themselves. And it's part of their pathology, it's baloney. Children are not afraid of the dark. They're afraid of what's gonna happen in the dark. It isn't the darkness. All right, so here at camp, they're all set up perfect for learning how to sleep in the dark. If you got a nightlight or any kind of stuff going on out there, turn it off tonight. They don't need it. Their body needs to know you're there, you're on it, you're gonna take care of them, okay? And when you get home, you don't wanna do it in their room, you want them to learn it here where you're really close by, okay? So, sleep deprivation. The problem with sleep deprivation, our brain, all of the cells eat during the daytime. And then they have to eliminate the waste. Like take the garbage out. The only time the brain can do a full clean out the garbage is when we're in a deep sleep. Because it's not having to worry about all of the work that it does. It's got to keep us breathing and the heart beating and all that stuff, okay? But a deep sleep is where the toxins are literally removed from the brain. It's taking all the trash out. If they don't get the number of hours that they need to sleep, they act like a mess in the daytime. They act like garbage, pretty much, because we left the garbage in, we didn't get it cleaned out.
I have another question.
Yes,
Like,
ma'am.
is it wrong then to give our children melatonin gummies? Which we do.
When you give them melatonin, it does help. It helps them to be able to sleep.
Right, it's just like
The
5
problem is with the
milligrams.
research, if we give them melatonin more than a couple of weeks, many of them, their body then permanently stops making its own melatonin. So I use it when I fly international, your days and nights are upside down and I can't sleep. So I use it for a couple nights till my body kind of gets adjusted. And it's just long term, it's a bad idea. So short term, yeah. And you know, occasionally they had a really rough day, they're really upset, a little melatonin is gonna help with that. So music helps this part of the brain. Positive and complicated input is like mathematics, like memorizing spelling words, memorizing poetry, memorizing Bible verses. It's also games like Sudoku, jigsaw puzzles, crossword puzzles, where you're really concentrating. It's positive and it's complicated, and you're trying to remember, you know, where's that piece? I need a blue piece that's shaped like this. Okay, so your brain is working in that zone. It's like doing its weightlifting. 10 to 12 hours of sleep for a child, 12 if they're healing, 10 if they're not healing, if they're under 14 and a half. And certainly no light, because it stops the pineal gland from making that melatonin, right? Then the basal ganglia, that's that little spot that was kind of like jelly bean shaped that I showed you on the edge of the temporal lobes. When it's not, it like dispenses the neurotransmitters, for lack of a better description, when it's not working right, and it is highly affected by trauma. So that's our children, okay? When it's not working right, we see not enough dopamine, and this will be where you were asking that question. It's so important because many of our children have that. Without enough dopamine, we see ADD, ADHD, okay? We see poor handwriting. They have real jerky movement with their pen, their pencil. Parkinson's disease is a condition where the basal ganglia is, struggling. And lack of motivation, tiredness, I don't care. Whatever, that kind of thing is not enough dopamine. So we optimize the brain. Ritalin and all the cousins of Ritalin, that classification of medication increases dopamine. Okay, so it does that. Protein increases dopamine. Now, one of the research studies that came out 8 or 10 years ago, there should have been headlines. Headlines in the newspaper. It was so powerful and so exciting, and nobody even knows about it. In the first 3 years of life, a child that had alcohol before they're born, if they get enough choline, it reverses the brain damage. Why is that not headlines? Why are parents finding out after their child's 3 and it's too late? And it'll still help them, but it doesn't make the huge impact of the brain. Choline is eggs. Hard-boiled egg for a snack, a scrambled egg for breakfast, scrambled egg salad, oxygen. There's another part of the brain that needs a lot of oxygen. So we need to have our children moving. What are American children doing, not yours, but other children doing, besides moving?
Video games.
Video games, yes, and what else?
Watching TV.
Watching TV, and what else? On the cell phone, yeah. Facebook, YouTube, whatever, yeah.
Or look on a book.
Well, that would be better if they were reading a book, you're right. Okay, so between those 3 activities, the video games, the TV, and the cell phone or the computer, the internet, the average American child, research shows they spend 6 hours a day between those 2 things after they sit all day in school. Are they getting the oxygen and the movement that they need? Heck no. We gotta get them moving. They can't be sitting. They need to be climbing mountains and riding bikes and riding horses and moving and building stuff and doing things, not sitting. Doesn't work. All right. Positive thoughts. They need to have goals. Things they want to do. What are their goals? Okay? So that they can reach for those. We don't give them everything. Exercise. Get them moving. All right. Basal ganglia. Sometimes those little beams on the side of the temporal lobes go wacko the other way, put too much dopamine. When we got too much dopamine, and that's one of those neurotransmitters like serotonin, okay? Then we see anxiety disorders. When we have anxiety, our heartbeat goes to over 100 beats to the minute. Okay, I have a little thing called a pulse ox I was gonna bring for the demo and I forgot. But it just clips on your finger and it shows you your oxygen level and your heartbeat. When they're over 100 beats to the minute, we got anxiety, okay? And we know we got too much dopamine going on in there. Panic attacks, hypervigilance, freezing during stress, Tourette's, all that. So, serotonin and dopamine are like seesaw, teeter-totter. They stay in balance with each other. So if you got too much dopamine, you don't have enough serotonin. You increase your serotonin, it's going to bring the dopamine down. So that's what we do. To increase the serotonin, we make sure they got a lot of tryptophan, and 5-HTP is, you can buy it at the health food store. The TP stands for tryptophan. All right? So, turkey, walnuts. I used to make a walnut smoothie for the children right before they went to bed, where I got like a quarter of a cup of walnuts, fresh raw walnuts, not salted, cooked, but fresh raw walnuts. And then I would put like a quarter of a cup of milk, whatever, I use real milk rather than almond milk and stuff, but some people need almond milk, that's fine. And I do a little teeny pinch of cinnamon, a little teeny pinch of real stevia, not the one with the erythritol stuff in it, just the stevia. And then I put it in a little blender, and they have a sleep smoothie. And loaded with all that, like 30 minutes before they go to bed, helped my children. Okay, St. John's wort is an herb that just recirculates the serotonin that you do have going on in there. Now, if you have a child on medication, you always check with their doctor first before you add any kind of food supplements or anything, because it can impact their medication, might need to be raised or lowered or clashed. So check with your doctor if they're on meds, okay? I'm not a doctor. I wanna make sure we aren't clashing with the systems there. And certainly no Ritalin or any of those, medications that take care of ADHD if we see anxiety in the child. It's the opposite of what their body needs, so we're certainly not gonna use Ritalin or any of its cousins there. Okay, this is cingulate gyrus, this is the gear shifter of the brain. Positional defiant disorder is the gear shifter's jammed. I'm not gonna do it and you can't make me is their middle name pretty much when that gear shifter's jammed. Alright, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, I want that. You saw the little one, every time she came in, that was right on her mind. There's a little hat and a little pile, right on her mind. OCD, she's just stuck. That cingulate gyrus is jammed for her, and she's struggling with it. Inability to shift from fight or flight, where they're screaming and raging and carrying on, to logic and reasoning. The gear shifter's jammed, so they're stuck for a way longer time than they should for what happened. For whatever it is that happened, a few minutes of being upset and you move on. Well, they're 2 hours later, still blowing up over it when it was a little tiny thing. What's the deal? Gear shifter's jammed, okay? So, first thing we're gonna do is correct quickly. I mean, that flight check arm needs to fly up there, okay? Flight check for today, flight check. Correcting quickly, not waiting or any of that. Consequence the first time. Consequence is an action, it's not words. It's an action, and for today, it's just flight check. Tomorrow, you're gonna get different jewels. I mean, and you'll be able to use them if you've got at least 5 per child. Jewels. Okay, oxygen, another part of the brain that needs oxygen. These children can't be sitting. When they come home from school, they've gotta be moving the whole rest of the evening, not sitting. All right, positive input, catch them doing right. Wow, you walked past your brother and didn't hit him. Wow, you crying. Okay, you brushed your teeth, yeah. Okay, crisscross, let me see who I can borrow for this. Christian, can I borrow your son, please? Yes. Christian, I would like you to come up here and do a crisscross strong sit right there facing me. Perfect. Okay, so he has his right arm on the outside and his left leg on the outside, the opposite arm to the opposite leg. His back is perfectly straight. He's not leaning left, right, forward, or back, so he is straight. And he is still, and he is silent. Straight, still, and silent, 30 seconds. His brain will shift from the back here to here because he's got opposite arms and legs and he's gotten self-control. And then that outer part of his brain is like pumping iron, weightlifting, weightlifting, weightlifting. So every second he sits like that, the part of his brain that does schoolwork, that makes life choices, that can function, is getting more and more powerful. All right, awesome job, Christian. Hop up, let me give you a high five. You rocked it. Get a big hug from your awesome mom. Okay, so that's crisscross. It helps that gear shifter, okay? Our brain has 2 halves, kind of like a walnut, left and right hemisphere, and the gear shifter's right down the middle. When they do that, crisscrossing their body like that, it makes the left hemisphere talk to the right hemisphere across the midline, and it shoots electrical current through there, making both sides of the brain work together. So it's like powerhouse to the brain. It's the gear shifter. We do that already. This is the last part of the brain, and I'm going to give you to Paul and late for lunch. So PTSD, organized brain. When we have trauma, the brain gets organized a little differently. So on one side we have logic, coping, date, time, facts. Our ability to organize, our ability to sequence, do things in the right order. You put the broom away after you sweep, that kind of stuff. You wash your face after you brush your teeth so you don't have toothpaste all over. Sequence. And language, all on the left side of the brain. When we have PTSD, it disorganizes it like that. This is from Dr. Bessel van der Kolk from Harvard. Then the emotional centers are on the right side of the brain. So he had brain scans of his clients. I don't have his brain scans, so you have a little class thing there symbolizing the brain. But the emotional centers on the right side. And what happens when his clients had an emotion, the left side of the brain went dark with little to no electrical energy. The right side of the brain lit up with a whole lot of juice pouring out there. So when our children are having an emotion, the language centers are turned off. And that's when parents are explaining, lecturing, warning, giving all the words.
So we're gonna go down, we're gonna have lunch, you're gonna be like, oh, that lunch was so good, so tasty, yummy, yummy. Alright, you're gonna be happy about that. After lunch, we're gonna do this thing called the blindfolded call. We're gonna try to do that up front here, and come, a couple of things, your kids are gonna be blindfolded, and you're gonna call. And a couple things to look out for is, she probably explains this better than I do, but when you shut your eyes and you wanna walk around in a room, where do your hands go?
In a dark room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put your hands
Reaching.
up. Okay. Now,
Watch your children.
watch your kids.
A lot of them don't reach.
A lot of them don't know how to reach. They're doing the other things. The other thing is when you call to them, they might go the complete opposite direction. It might be for different reasons, but I say I think they go to where they think you are, not where they hear you, because they're the ones in charge. And so just pay attention to that stuff. But now, here's the deal. They are going to find you. Okay? You're gonna call their names and you're gonna move a little bit. You're gonna stay a little bit, not
Be
forever.
elusive.
Yeah, be a little bit elusive, right? Some of you are like, they'll never find me. Yes, you have that ability. I understand that you could hide forever when you're blindfolded. But call, like, get at least 3 or 4. It could be 6 to 10, depending on how your kids know. You call one thing, they'll call the next thing, and we'll explain more of that out there. But think of like you have a call to the like peanut butter or basketball or what, and so you call one part of it, they're gonna call the other part of it. And so when they find you, rejoice. That is a win. Look into their eyes, right? Hug them tight with their things on, then take their eyebrows off, put them in their eyes, and
Bandana.
take their bandana or the blindfolds on top, and take another big deep hug, because they found you, right? And I know it's silly, I know whatever, but it matters.
So you said when you call them, does it have to be a word or can it be a sentence?
Yes, we want you to make up a nickname that has 2 parts. Something that fits with your child, your family, like peanut butter. And you say peanut, there's like Marco Polo, they say butter, or butterfly, or Denver Broncos.
Or big losers.
Oh, don't.
Sorry. So,
So you pick the name, they don't.
yeah, so if you think of that, we'll explain it again more out there,
So
okay?
do we forewarn them what we're gonna use or not?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
So you-
they know that they need to know secret code.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
what I
don't
meant.
forewarn them, we're gonna do the
So
activity,
you
they'll
put the
freak out.
blindfold on, or just before you put the blindfold on, you say, we're gonna do happy smile, or happy days, or whatever, and so, and then you
Alright.
put the blindfold on, and then we'll spin a little bit, and then you go to some place where where you weren't just, right? And, yeah, then after we do that, we have 2 different activities going on at once. We have the blindfolded obstacle course. That's gonna be over here, we're gonna meet over here by the gator, if the gator's not there, by the hula hoops, and we're gonna walk you through the blindfolded obstacle course. How the blindfolded obstacle course works is we're just building trust, over and over and over again. When they're on the obstacles, you want them just to be listening to your voice. You don't want to be touching them. Of course, if they're doing something where it's unsafe, grab them and hold them, whatever it is, right? The places that are most unsafe, I'll be right there, because I know what I'm doing and what we're looking for with that, okay? And so, we've set it up, I don't know if you heard us out there, now that I think
We
about it.
saw people go by with stuff.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Anyway, but, so we're setting that right outside here, and the winds are, we want them to keep the blindfold on the whole time, right? Anytime they're keeping their blindfold on and they're listening to you, if you've accomplished something in that, that's a win. Every time you get to hug them, I mean, you're gonna get, you can't hug them with that child on the blindfolded obstacle course, right? And the fact that they got through it, and we're gonna ask them to do things that they are uncomfortable with, okay? We're gonna ask them to do things that they're uncomfortable with, and it is a lot of fun, yeah.
So what if your kid tries to cheat, put the ball on that?
You just put it right back on. If it becomes a problem where it's like, you have to do it more than like twice in a row or something like that, flight check, right? And so,
I was just getting ready to ask you about flight checks, and something like that.
Yeah.
What constitutes, or like,
Defiance,
yeah,
they get defiant, it's project.
right away.
what about fear?
Fear is not fear is not a thing,
Right.
and you're right there to hold them and to
Right.
get them right. I mean, it's not how they react to that fear is what we want, right? We want to give them a safe place to be fearful, right here, and that they can trust you. Right here.
With sometimes you fear. You have that child sit aside and do the other child while they're sitting aside. They decide that they want to get past the fear to get the attention from you. So if they get more attention from having the fear than from not having the fear, they're gonna go to, I get attention, I'm a victim and that's who I am and that's how I get people. So we just like, we're not gonna force you, you're afraid. We're gonna have you sit and rest and work on your courage. We're gonna take your sibling and go through there and we'll give you another shot at it. Okay?
So, yeah, the wins of those things, the wins of those are gonna be obvious, but just recognize those and celebrate that.
Well, and our children are hypervigilant, the eyes are going all the time. We're taking their main tool away to protect themselves and teaching them to use their ears that they don't use. So please be very clear with your direction. We've had parents that just take their arm and drive them through. It's like, no, we're trying to teach them to use their ears. So explain, I want you to lift your foot. There you go. Now move toward me. If they don't know their lefts and rights, then you move toward me. Okay, now take a giant step now. So be really clear, and like Mr. Paul said, that hug, they're scared, their heart's pounding. I can't see, and I have to trust your words that I'm not gonna fall in a hole somewhere. Is building trust, is building skills, so lots and lots of hugs.
So while they're doing it with the blindfold still on, if they do a elemental step, you give them a hug.
Well, not every single
I
step,
know,
you'll
So,
never get done.
once you've accomplished that element, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so,
absolutely.
the first thing you're gonna come to is a trail of hula hoops. And I'm gonna tell you, it's a leaping of lily pads, that there'll be lots of things that won't make any sense, just fine. But the goal is that they walk through that without going off the hula hoops. And so, you don't hug them after every step of the hoop, you hug them at the end of that, okay? And so, and you celebrate it, and they don't even get to see that some of these things, they don't even get to see that they've accomplished it. They only know that they've accomplished something when you react. And so react big. And so know that it will be hard for you, and when you're done, pat yourself on the back, give yourself a high five, whatever you need to do, all right? And so, and then while that's going on, we're also going to have the 6 R's going on.
These 6 hours, it's a brain healing activity from Dr. Bruce Perry. I'll explain a whole lot better tomorrow because we ran out of time. But we have different stations set up, so you can have 7 minutes at each station, learning, rhythmic, repetitive, relevant, rewarding, respectful, and relational. We build that back part of the brain that's so far off track. So today you're just gonna have the fun with it, and tomorrow I'll explain the science behind it. And you'll go to each station and they'll have you do whatever it is.
Mhm.
Okay, so, then at, where do we get to? That's at 1:30. A blindfolded call is, somebody got us off track with the time. So blindfolded call is when you're done eating. When you're done doing the blindfolded call, we're gonna do the obstacle course. Mr. Paul's gonna take, one parent, one child at a time, or 2 parents, 1 child, whatever the case may be. And the rest of us are gonna be working on the 6 R's during that time. And then at 3:30, all of the men are gonna come up here and have a roundtable discussion for an hour. And then at 4:30 on the dot, the ladies are gonna come up here and do roundtable discussion with Miss Sarah, the therapist. Okay, 3:30, the men are gonna be led by JP, and Mr. Paul, if you can be in here, that would be fun too. Okay, and then we've got dinner, 5:30, and at that point, each family is going to show their banners to the rest of the team and explain what your symbols are. Tell us about your banner.
Are you gonna do, are we
also-
already done the wing feathers and stuff?
Yeah, also you're gonna announce how many feathers each child has when you announce the feathers they've earned this afternoon, and maybe they didn't earn one. Okay, don't even introduce them if they did. This is my child who didn't earn a feather, it's not helpful, so just don't. But when you introduce your child, please stand up, have your child stand and say, "This is my son, so and so." Okay, my son Joe. This is my daughter Matilda, okay? And Matilda has 3 wing feathers and 4 tail feathers, all right? Because we want them to get that sense of I belong. This is my son, my daughter. It is respectful to introduce your oldest child first, always, and then pecking order down to the littlest one. But if they don't have any feathers, then we don't want to embarrass them. And you only have this short little window of time to give them feathers, so they may not have any feathers.
So you want them to just say, this is my son Josiah, this is my son Josiah, he's awesome, he's doing a great job being here. This is my daughter Mia, she's got 2 wing feathers, or do you not want to
Well,
introduce them at all?
I think what we'll do is we'll say, who would like to announce their feathers? And then if you've got a child that has feathers, you can stand up and introduce that one, and then it's
We're
not
gonna
like
do it
you
during the
have to do
banners?
your family.
We're not doing it with the banners? Okay.
Okay, so then after dinner at 6 o'clock, hopefully, we're gonna make masks on the children, which again is a trust building activity that's very scary for our children because they feel like they're in a whole body cast. They just have it on their face. Don't put it on their eyelashes, it'll pull their eyelashes out. And if you can avoid the eyebrows, that's good, but we put Vaseline all over because it pulls all the little hairs out and that hurts. And you don't want to get it up in their hairline here either. Okay, so, and we'll teach you how to do all that, just so you know. We don't tell the children ahead of time what the activities are, because they'll just start stressing about it and the anxiety will go. Alright, so, I don't know if I left you enough time.
We got plenty of time. But one thing with the mask making, they've gotta be still and laying down. That's a win. Okay? That's a win right there. Okay? You're gonna have to cover up either their nose or their mouth. You still do that, right?
Yeah, don't cover both.
Don't cover both. But that, if they allow you to do that, that's a stressful time. And you can choose which one you wanna do, right?
They don't choose.
Yeah, you don't choose, but that's a win. If they've allowed you to do that, you've been able to get that done, and they're able to sit and be still and just spend time loving on your kid as you're putting this mask on. Just loving on your kid, and you're putting this mask on, but just spend time loving on them while they're there, and they don't move because they want this mask and they see everybody else is doing it. And so just take time to do it, and that's a win, okay? And I want you to celebrate that. In this particular time, you're not like, yes! But right there in your heart, you know it's a win, okay? And so I think it will be, we get a lot of success with all these things, and everything we're doing here is very much on purpose. And so,
Building the trust, building the relationship.
yeah,
One thing on that is you're gonna be all gooey and you wanna go wash your hands. Don't leave your child when they're laying there with a mask on. They feel like they're trapped and you just walked away and they're like, they need you to stay even though you're all gooey, so.